15 years ago, being sustainable was like super hippie-dippy, granola, crunchy.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, it's like sustainability. People just wear Tevas and like whatever, What we do for this era is going to set the stage
Really?
for the rest of the future. Everything that we're creating comes from the inside. That's where all our senses are. The other good news currently is that the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is working on a set of rules and guidelines to eliminate greenwashing. The naturally occurring microorganisms in soil that break down materials will not ingest plastic. Our skin can't breathe. Sort a plan for your food scraps. Hello, Everforward Radio. My name is Monica Richards, also known as the Eco Babe. I am a TV and media host, as well as a sustainable living expert and educator and consultant. And today on the episode, I am so honored and grateful to extend my Eco Babe education onto you in the form of tips and tricks in the food industry, in the skincare industry, in the fashion industry. There's some very surprising truths in there, and how we as consumers and stewards of the environment can make an impact. We also share how to become a minimalist, and overall, we are making sustainable living second nature. I really hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Everforward Radio. I'm here with Monica Richards, and we're diving into a topic I have not yet really covered on the show fully. We're talking about sustainability. We're talking about changing your world so that you can really change the world. And with that, Monica, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing the space for sustainability to be featured on your podcast. I'm so excited. Thank you.
My pleasure. You're very welcome. Yeah. And this is definitely an area of life, of living, of wellness that when I look back at my life, since making a conscious choice of I want to take better care of myself,
yes,
I'd be lying if I said looking at ways of being more eco-friendly and green back in my day, like maybe like 15 years ago, right. Going green was the big thing, and it meant being more conscious of shout out these straws you brought me, of the plastics and the metals and the recycling and the cleaners and the perfumes and all the things. So I'm really excited to kind of have an expert today dive deeper into sustainability.
Thank you. It's been a really cool journey too. 15 years ago, being sustainable was like super hippie-dippy, granola, crunchy.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, it's like sustainability. People just wear Tevas and like whatever, So I love Tevas, by the way, but you know what I mean. And now it's like we're coming to such a cool position in our lives. They say that this, what are we, like millennials? Are we millennials?
Gen Z? No, we're not Gen Z.
Millennial,
yeah.
So they say that the millennials, it's really in, which is a cool opportunity, a great opportunity. But what we do for this era is going to set the stage
really
for the rest of the future, basically. So this is a really important era and time that we're living in, which is an incredible opportunity.
So I got to ask, first and foremost,
yes,
what landed you? I'm going to be a professional host and look at my notes.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you.
What landed you at this topic to champion? Why sustainability?
So I grew up on a farm in Michigan. If any of you know Michigan, you know the hand. It's like down here, like the glove, the mitten. We call it the mitten state. So
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Midwesterner at heart. I always do it. So I grew up on a little farm, an eco-friendly farm. My dad he wasn't a farmer, but he operated his business out of the farm. And we had every single kind of fruit tree. Our garden was much bigger than this room. I'd say probably 3 times. My dad had a rototiller with a tractor. That's how big it was.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh my, I haven't heard that in forever. I grew up on almost 200 acres.
Oh, you did?
In the middle of nowhere, Southwest Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah. So, oh, wow.
We have a similar
I just got
childhood.
This flashback. Sorry. Wow. That hit me hard. Yeah.
Did you do like rope forts in the trees?
All right, I'm derailing my own show right here.
This is perfect.
So, it's kind of hard to see. I have a little scar on my pinky right here.
Yeah.
I almost lost the entire tip of my pinky because of a rope fort. I was swinging across the creek on my property and the rope slipped and I fell and landed. I was carrying a tin can we're taking to the fort to hide all of our fake whatever. And I landed crush the tin with my body, and I looked down and just my pinky bone sticking out. Yeah.
How far
Wow.
were you from home?
Oh.
Did you get back?
Like across the field, just down the field.
Okay,
yeah,
so you sprinted back home.
Oh, I stayed there, screamed for help. My brother went and got my stepmom, and so rushed me to the yard.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, luckily I didn't do any of that. I think you were a little more adventurous in your rope boards than I was. But
We're country family. All
we're
right.
country
All
folk,
right.
I
Yeah.
know. But don't you
Damn.
love it? It's like this foundation in your heart that no matter where you live, you always go back to.
Truly.
Yeah. And
Truly.
so full circle, that's how I got into sustainability.
Okay.
So I've always had that connection with nature, connection with animals. Like when I was growing up, my chores were to collect chicken eggs, to weed the garden, to
You got me
pick
beat
fruit
there.
off the
Okay.
trees. Yeah.
Wow.
So I really saw how when we put kind of an effort into the earth, what the earth gives back. And so that's always been a part of me. So fast forward, I went to college for biological anthropology. All I wanted to do was like build my own fort in Asia and study apes. But Dr. Jane Goodall basically already had done that. So I switched.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
She pretty much discovered most everything there is to know about the ape family. So I started doing interior design. I did interior design. I practiced interior design in London for an eco-friendly boutique firm, and then moved to LA and did that there for an eco-friendly boutique firm. I started pitching this show around Hollywood. And it was like, I still want to make it to this day. It's such a cool show. It's like, it's a nursery show, but it's like like the home makeover show. It was like nursery meets home makeover, meets sustainability, meets deserving family, meets ABC.
Like
It
a
was
nursery
show like that.
makeover.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started pitching that show around Hollywood, and every time I was in a room, they'd be like, well, who do you imagine as your host? And I'd be like, me, duh. And they're like, you have zero credentials.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So
Rude.
I started. No, they were
Jeez.
truth. Yeah. Which then set me on a great path because I started taking hosting classes, which are much like acting classes. Did that for 5 years. And one of my favorite gigs to date was this online show for AOL. Back in AOL, it was a thing. And I would host fashion and beauty shows. I would write, produce, and host 5 shows a day. Woke up at 4:30 in the morning. Yeah, but I loved it. So doing that for, gosh, I want to say about 3 years, I finally was like, you know what? I love talking about fashion and beauty and Kim Kardashian and Kate Middleton, but I just want to
Who doesn't,
more.
right?
Yes, exactly. So I just wanted more. Like I was yearning for more. And within hosting classes, there's basically 2 types of host, a reporter host or a branded host. And the branded is where I wanted to go. So I then created EcoBabe.
All right.
And that's how EcoBabe came along. So it was really just this, again, like getting back to what my heart was telling me to do. Yeah.
I have a fresh question that wasn't on the notes.
Ooh.
So kind of learning more about this background with you and the
Yes.
commonality, I've come to this conclusion a lot over the years. It's something that I think when we're really reflecting on our lives, we don't give full credit to how we were raised, where we were raised. Now, a lot of people, there could be some negativity there. Maybe you want nothing to do with how you were raised or where you were raised.
Correct.
But people who come from the salt of the earth, you grew up in the mountains, the country, the farm, whatever. I didn't fully realize how much nature and nurture meant. And what I mean by that is, like I said, I grew up on almost 200 acres. We tilled the soil, we gardened, we ate most of the fruits and vegetables that we grew. And also it was me, my brother, my sister, my family, my grandparents. There was a lot of like village family kind of thing going
Community.
on. Exactly. How much do you credit that to kind of your perspective on the world right now and kind of having maybe a better relationship to the world? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, a strong nature and nurture kind of upbringing.
100% I credit it for everything. Yeah, like every moment. I always say too, it's so important to connect to protect, like one of my mottos. So being sustainable, part of it is self-sustaining, because the more you connect with nature, the more, even if you haven't grown up in the country, if you're a city dweller, the more you get outside, take your shoes off, ground at the earth, touch a tree. I'm just thinking of the things we do in New York. The more you want to protect and support the earth. So I think that connection is everything, everything. And anyone can connect.
And it's pretty palatable, right? We know when we do leave a city, when we kind of slow down, when we surround ourselves more with nature, when we let the dirt, the ground connect with our feet, and we feel that negative ion exchange happening, it's palpable, right? There's great branding we can do, but also it's sensational, literally.
Did you know that trees, I believe this is the correct stat, humans and trees have 75% the exact same chromosome?
Wow.
Yeah.
Trees like just trees in general.
Trees communicate.
Oh,
they keep their dead alive for tens and hundreds of years.
Wow.
Their system, like their root system, is the foundation to Earth.
Well, it reminds me of fungi, mushrooms.
Yeah.
We have about, there's some variations in the stat, but I think 62% same DNA. Same DNA structure as fungi.
Yeah.
We literally come from the earth, and there's not a lot of difference in how we live and thrive and what supports us and nurtures us as well as compared to nature.
Here's another one. Apes, which are, do you know the difference between a monkey and an ape?
I'm going to butcher it. So please.
Apes don't have tails.
Oh, okay.
So that's bonobos, chimps, gorillas, and orangutans. So chimps. Sorry, chimps have 98.4 or 6% the exact same DNA as humans.
So if we just had a tail, maybe we'd be there?
Like our spines are a little different
Wow.
if you think about it. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Damn.
Yeah, 98.6%, exact same DNA.
Well, I'm not even going to try to go toe-to-toe with you on more fun facts, but those are some fun facts.
But it's just so interesting. Like, we're so connected to Earth and the animal kingdom and all of her ecosystems.
Okay, with that in mind,
Yeah.
can you define our terms for us, please, here? Sustainability, what is it?
So sustainability in general just means maintaining something at a certain rate or level. Environmentally, it's really the same thing as for us when we're like, is this job sustainable for us? Is this relationship sustainable for us? It's maintaining something at a certain rate or level. So with environment, it's not depleting the Earth's resources so we can maintain at a certain rate or level. So to be sustainable, technically in today's society, you have to benefit three things: environment, socially, and economically.
Okay.
Yeah. And for me, sustainability really goes foundation level to consciousness. And that's just being conscious of ourselves and how we consume, being conscious of our planet, and being conscious of one another. And to me, that's sustainability.
All right. So now before we look at the outside world, because myself included, I think when we think sustainability, we think about the world, the earth, the environment, all these things. But I would like to kind of get the listener thinking internally first. I'm a big believer if we want to change the world, we need to change our world first. So with the lens of sustainability here, how do we change our world with sustainability? What does that look like from the personal, in my four walls kind of perspective?
Sure. So I hold the same thought. In order to change the world, you have to change your world first. My business partner, who is the climate optimist, and Teresa Gennari, we always talk about that. And it's a big part of our teachings. We actually just launched a corporate workshop, where we incorporate that as well.
I'm sure they could use it a lot.
Yeah, yes.
At the corporate level.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's really missing from society in general. So you won't find this statistic anywhere because it's alchemic. I practice alchemy. We have 672 senses inside.
672.
Correct. So
what do you mean by that? How did you arrive at that number?
So it's my shaman.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, she's like deep master of alchemy, and she told me this, and she literally is never wrong. So on the outside, we have, some people say 7 senses, some people say 5, right, depending on what you believe in. But that being said, look at the juxtaposition. Everything that we're creating comes from the inside. That's where all our senses are. So, and you think about, like, our thoughts create our beliefs create our feelings. I had that opposite. Thoughts create feelings create beliefs, beliefs create actions create results. So it's from inside to outside. So I think one of the most powerful things a person can do, which I know you're already doing, is be in inner space. And that means tuning in, meditating, sitting, and just getting comfortable with yourself and deep diving inward, because we really create everything around us from what is happening on the inside. And I see it, like, if I don't tune in every single morning, I am like a chaotic disaster.
Oh, I know what you mean. Absolutely.
Complete chaos.
You feel you're just off. You're disconnected to yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah. And when I'm tuning in, I come up with ideas. I come up with an action plan for the day. I come up with everything while I'm tuning in. So that's a big part of sustainability and being a conscious person is having a strong inner space. Because then, everything we touch and everything we feel, that was an idea and a dream at one point. Someone had to think of these things.
Yeah, I think about this a lot. I look at the world around me and just go, someone thought to make this microphone.
Yeah.
They had this vision, this idea. Someone, this couch, this table, these clothes. It was just, it didn't exist. It only was up in our head, our imagination, some inward innate sense, to your point, that then, we manifested, we created, turned into reality.
Correct. And I think what's so incredible about your community is that it's already wellness oriented. You are as well. And so you're already halfway there.
Yeah.
And the intersection between environment and personal is sustainability, because look at food, for example. When you are wellness focused and you have a great inner space and you're all about self-advancement, self-improvement, evolvement, you're for sure looking at your food and what you put into your body and what your body runs on. But that in turn is simply more sustainable because you are probably not eating so many processed foods. You're not ingesting so much palm oil, canola oil, which is crazy GMOs. You are probably buying organic whenever you can, which helps save the soil, which then in turn helps save human health. So it really is sustainability is the intersection between planet and people.
Yeah.
It's really cool when you think about it. It just is so connected.
Yeah, it is. And, I think to your point, and to give ourselves maybe a little bit more credit, let me even backstep there more. What we're talking about here, if we want to become more sustainable, we're trying to introduce a new habit or expand a habit and make stronger, more chronic, more regular habit that we already have. We are most likely already doing a lot of things that we don't yet connect to this end goal.
Right.
I'm not sustainable, I'm not green, I'm not all these things. But if you have any level of awareness, to your point, of
Correct.
any theme through line of wellness in your life, you are. Just take a moment to pause and look at, okay, why do I eat this and not that? Why do I go here instead of there? Why do I have this plastic straw? And, why do I choose glass over plastic? There's your sustainability. There is your leg up in terms of this new habit that you're trying to become more adherent with.
Right. And speaking of inner to outer, one of my biggest pieces of advice for starting and sustaining your low waste lifestyle and your wellness and eco-friendly journey is going from micro to macro.
What do you mean by that?
So when you think about sustainability and climate and environment, it's very overwhelming, especially when you get into it.
Yeah. How can I possibly change the world?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what do humans generally do when we're overwhelmed? We freeze.
Fight or flight or freeze.
Yeah. And so instead of freezing, going micro to macro, micro means what I call eco swaps, which are sustainable alternatives to traditional items throughout the home. So you would start with just swapping out things in your kitchen. And then once you've mastered those, which is super fun to do, by the way, then you move on to your beauty cabinet and your bathroom and your cleaning supplies and your laundry. And then before you know it, you're looking into an electric car, solar panels for your roof. You're
moving to a commune.
Yes. You're gardening, like looking into food sovereignty. You're collecting rainwater for your gardening. So micro to macro, inward to outward is the easiest way to let your sustainability journey snowball.
That's so true. And for me, it always does come back to the foundation of, I think for most people in the show, health and fitness and wellness.
Yeah.
If you look at your life right now, you prioritize, my listeners definitely do this, you prioritize training, physical activity, exercise. You prioritize taking care of your body, your mind in some way. You probably have a fair amount of habits that you have stacked up and priorities that you have now. You didn't just wake up with this. One day, a week ago, a month ago, 10 years ago, you thought about one thing. You chose one thing to change, to make better, to introduce new, or to eliminate. And then that showed you the next thing. And then that showed you the next thing. Next thing you know, you're compounding and growing and growing.
Yes.
And all of these lifestyle changes are sustainable.
And you don't look back. I mean, how can you?
Once you feel good, there's knowing how good feels, you can't go back. You can't go back.
That's right.
You've talked about a lot of things that we can change in our inside world. You know, we kind of hit high level, you know, of, you know, plastic and glass, you know, looking around your home, just little things that we can do. I think a lot of us, when we look to the wellness industry in particular, we probably take a lot of it at face value because if it's got the right branding, the right labeling, it says all natural, says clean, or just hell, looks clean, whatever that means. Are we really embarking upon the sustainability journey we think? Is the wellness industry lying to us?
The good thing about greenwashing is that it's becoming such a thing that consumers want that manufacturers are willing to fib.
Okay.
But that means there's like a yearning for it, even if it's just growing, like we talked about in the beginning of the show. So that's the cool thing and the good thing about greenwashing. They wouldn't do it if consumers didn't want it, right? And that's awesome. The consumers want it. So the other good news currently is that the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is working on a set of rules and guidelines to eliminate greenwashing and make the language have a strict set of rules, which is what we're missing in the States, quite honestly, right? And that's why there is a lot of greenwashing. So that is underway, which is so great, right? I think that America puts a lot of responsibility on the consumer, which is why we have to self-advocate. But people who don't have time to self-advocate, it's just not fair. So if you know a few certain things, I think that you're much better off. Like, for instance, a certification you should always look for if you're buying organic is USDA certified. Otherwise, it's not organic, right?
And does all natural really mean anything?
So natural just means, here's why I don't love natural. And I tell people, like friends who are developing products, I say never put natural because natural it just means that it comes from nature. So I could be selling a bucket full of crude oil and be like, all natural. Comes from the ground, right?
Technically not wrong. Yeah, truly.
That one really irks me. But I think that here's the difference between, maybe this will help too, like green and eco-friendly and sustainable. So green just means that it's okay for the environment.
Okay.
Eco-friendly means that it won't harm the environment.
Okay.
Sustainability takes it one step further where it looks into the future. It won't harm the environment, but like we talked about beginning of the show, it's not going to withdraw so many resources that we run out. So it looks into the future. You just have to self-advocate, which is so unfortunate, but that's the way it is. But there are certain certifications. Like if we talk about skincare, Leaping Bunny certified is a huge one.
What about green tech? That's like the only one I'm familiar with. I think it's called Green Tech. There's, are you by chance familiar with the brand Caldera Lab?
No.
So they're a men's skincare line that I use and like, and it's all wild harvested botanicals and from what I can understand, clean and amazing. And they have a Green Tech certification. I think that's actually, I think that's more to do with their packaging now that I'm saying out
packaging.
Loud. Okay.
Is it TEK?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that good?
I would say so.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. I had to like almost switch brands all of a sudden.
I know. No, it's good. But yeah, just look into the certifications. And there's also tips like when you are purchasing food, for instance, some of the highest pesticide-ridden foods are like strawberries, grapes, apples, spinach.
Coffee.
So is it?
I don't know. The coffee industry, one of the most heavily herbicided, one of the most infused with herbicides and pesticides, because globally we source it from all over the world, and there is no global governing body of what these thresholds are for herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, and then you even get into like mold as well. If things are, you know, not freshly transported or they're not kind of, you know, flash frozen, depending on if it's going to be whole bean ground or instantized kind of thing. Coffee is another thing I think a lot of people should look at if they're really trying to clean up what's going into their body.
Correct. Yeah.
Because if it's not, especially not organic, herbicides, fungicides, the worst.
Also, fair trade is a big one for coffee.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's another certification we can look for across the board, whether that's food, clothing. That just means that farmers are offered fair prices for the trade of their product.
Okay, so help us kind of understand maybe prioritization of sustainability. If I want to become more sustainable in the things I'm wearing, the things I'm putting into my body, the things I'm putting onto my body, is there a hierarchy in your opinion? Let's say for the ultimate goal of our longevity and sustainability of our health, what maybe is impacting us the most?
The most? Okay, well, while we're consuming, I always go back to one question, and it's, do I really need this?
Powerful question. Okay. Before we even get into the green or the
you get
natural,
into
absolutely.
anything.
Wow.
Do I really need this?
Yeah.
Then you ask yourself, where does it come from? And that's a big part of what you're saying. Then you ask yourself, how can I reuse this, and where does it go at end of life? So those are the 3 key questions to conscious consumerism that I always educate on.
That's
But
so straightforward and easy. That's amazing.
Yeah, number 1, do I really need this? Then I would say, because I'm a huge soil advocate, we only have, I don't know if you saw the Time magazine article that announced we have 60 years.
Yeah, a couple decades.
Yeah, soil left. I heard the 60-year mark probably 6 years ago. So I always say 55, top 50s, but either way, that's an insane
Either way, it's a countdown.
stat.
Yeah.
Right, it's a countdown. So I always say food because it also affects soil health. So I would say for an individual person, food. I would also say plastics. There's so many studies out on plastics, especially ingesting them in utero.
Oh, I was diving heavy into fertility health recently, and the through line for me that I found was microplastics.
Microplastics.
What is affecting fertility, male and female? Microplastics.
100%. Yeah.
Can you kind of expand on that a little bit for us? Microplastics, what are they?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Sure. So when something breaks down, a piece of plastic, it breaks down from the elements, whether that's sun, yes. So that goes, you throw that away. Say it gets slipped from the landfill to the beach or the ocean. By the way, a lot of ocean trash in a lot of cities comes from the, on the side of the, I'm losing the word, on the side of the road when the water goes in, the
storm drain
live. Yes.
Yeah.
Those lead directly to water
Oh
sources.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For those of you not watching the video, I'm holding up a plastic water bottle.
Yes. So this plastic water bottle in the elements, sun, wind, water, rain will break down. Plastic never breaks down fully.
It never completely just goes away.
No, and a lot of that is because the naturally occurring microorganisms in soil that break down materials will not ingest plastic. They won't eat it.
Wow.
So that's part of it. So instead,
there is a fungi species that will actually.
I've heard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're incorporating that right now, right? Scientists, yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. So it breaks down into these tiny, tiny pieces of plastic. Some are this big, some are almost invisible to the eye. So then these microplastics are everywhere. They're carried in our wind. On the most remote of islands in the world, there have been microplastics now from transporting in the atmosphere.
Wow.
The wind, the rain, it transports because they're very light. So they transport everywhere.
Wow.
They're in our oceans. They're in our soil. So whether we are eating fish that have ingested microplastics in the ocean, we're then ingesting microplastics.
I hear it's huge in seafood.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's where we're getting a majority of these microplastics. Yeah.
And in our water. So I have a filter by Life Straw. It's a glass water pitcher, and it filters microplastics.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I highly recommend everyone to get that, to purchase that. So microplastics, we ingest a plate full of microplastics each year.
Wow. Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That can't be good. That can't be good.
No.
Wow.
And for fertility and baby health, and it's everything. So, and even you have to think about BPAs. This plastic water bottle was probably not cold on the transport truck, so it's warmed.
Yeah.
When plastic is warm, that's not BPA free. Those BPAs leach into your water. Now we're drinking the water. It's okay this one time.
I do see it says non-BPA,
okay,
so that's
thank
good.
Goodness.
We're good.
Okay,
but
so look for non-BPA.
Yeah, and that's not to jump ahead, and kind of where I want to go later, but it sometimes can feel very overwhelming, and almost to the point, like you said earlier, just freeze. We want to do something. We want to make our life better. We want to make our world and the world better. But when you really kind of look at the micro and the macro, it's holy hell, what is this really going to do? What is this really going to do? There's no question there, but it's just, a mutually relatable frustration point, I think.
Totally.
Even someone like yourself who this is your livelihood, this is your, what you're championing. Do you ever still kind of get bogged down in the weeds of that?
I get bogged down when I see like animal cruelty. Kills me.
I don't think you need to be fighting for sustainability to agree that animal cruelty is never a warm fuzzy.
Yeah. And now the algorithm on Instagram, it's like all I get. I'm like, come on. So
Sarah McLachlan's having a field day with your SPCA songs.
Really is. I just basically have my head all day long. So the neutrality here is that with alchemy, I try to presence everything and ground everything. And so I know that for all of the terrible things that are happening in the world, there's really amazing things happening too. Like, for instance, this past year, they passed in the States federal laws of a lot of really cool bills that I voted on.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Okay.
Yes. And so it's really cool to see. So one of the things
that's so rewarding.
It's so rewarding.
Absolutely.
You're just like, holy shit, it worked, like,
it's happening.
Yes. It's so exciting. And I was able to vote on them because when I see them just like on Instagram or I'll find out through a friend, or I have a community called Earthco that we talk a lot about bills in, and it's an online conscious community, we'll vote on certain bills. So when you vote, and that means voting with your signature, your voice,
your dollars.
Yes. So when you call in to your state's congressional members, a bill has to pass through the Senate and the House of Representatives in order to be then put on the president's desk for final approval. So there's so many bills that are stuck.
Yeah.
So many bills.
Yeah.
Or they've passed through the Senate and they still need to go through the House. They don't have enough co-sponsors to push it through. So when you call your state's representatives, they actually take tallies of what's happening outside congressional doors.
Really?
So yeah, when you sign a petition, when you call them, when you email them, when you leave them the voicemail, they take that seriously, and they like tally what's going on, and then they will then push according to your voice things that are really important to society.
In your opinion right now, maybe it's one that you voted on, or maybe one that you see up and coming or needs to be up and coming, what is the most important bill, the most important thing at the government level that we need to be making noise about?
Plastic.
Okay.
Plastic. There's one in New York City called Skip the Stuff that would prohibit all restaurants to use to-go plastic, which is huge in New York because we're a very to-go disposable society.
I haven't seen a single plastic bag here in the city since I've been here. No.
Oh.
I think they're not anywhere. Not at the grocery store, not at Target, not anywhere.
So they're at restaurants.
That's why I see everyone walking around with a canvas tote bag.
I know, it's so great, right? Yeah. They're in a lot of restaurants still, unfortunately. Styrofoam has been...
I've known about that one for years. Absolutely, yeah.
Such a great one. And then federally, the 30-30 just passed. Do you know that one?
No.
Okay. So the 30-30, almost every country in the world has signed the 30-30 agreement, which protects 30% of oceans by 2030.
Wow.
Which is huge because a lot of our oceans are very unprotected right now.
Oh, yeah. So
that's a huge one that we just got passed. Gosh, I'm trying to think of another. Of course, I would just say plastics. There's one, there's another plastic bill I'm trying to think of. I'll get back to you. I can't think of the name, but I would just say plastics.
Okay. Yeah, let's kind of second question to that. Maybe it's plastics again, but maybe the listener right now wants to do something in their local community, local government level. What would make the most sense? What would maybe be the strongest lead domino at the community government level to kind of get behind and to support for sustainability? For sustainability,
oh my gosh, I think that depends on your community. You can get behind plastic initiatives as well. A lot of places, I mean, even in the Midwest, like they are still using plastic straws and styrofoam.
So it's really plastics a lot, I'm hearing.
It's plastics, yeah. Plastics are like a forever material that really don't go away, and it's totally affecting soil health, human health, and environmental health altogether. So I would just say plastics.
Wow, okay. Yeah, and a great resource for everybody where I kind of learned most about microplastics and fertility, and even touched on soil, because it is it's not just this plastic cup. It is the earth, the air, the water, and then ultimately ingestion. Countdown by Dr. Shauna Swan, this book, all about fertility and just why we're not as fertile by an alarming rate, even than just the next or the generation before us. I'll link that down in the show notes for everybody. Kind of getting through, talk about a couple more questions. I think that when people think sustainability, at least come top of mind for me. You hit on it earlier, but skincare. How sustainable really is the skincare industry, and what should we be looking for when we're putting onto our skins in terms of sustainability?
It is not very sustainable at all, still to this day.
All right, damn.
We could talk about this all day. Okay, so there's two things that you need to look at in skincare: ingredients and packaging. Packaging-wise, 100 billion pieces of packaging enter landfills every single year.
Billion with a B.
Billion with a B.
Wow.
Yes. So we're running out of landfill space. 80% of our textiles even are shipped overseas because we don't have the space for all of this waste. So the thing that you can do that is the most impactful is refillable. There's a great company here in New York called Hear Me Raw for skincare masks that are all refillable. There's Beauty Counter, Caudalie, Jane Iredale, they all have refillable options now. And that just means that you keep the packaging and you refill what's inside. And it'll come in the form of like a little pod. And that pod is made of recyclable plastic and like a foil that's also recyclable. But it saves all of that exterior packaging.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then also the packaging around the actual container should be paper, not plastic.
Okay. So I'm hearing, as much as possible, can we renew this? Is it a not renewable resource, but how many times can we renew using this?
Yeah.
Is it not just a one and done? It's, can I, keep using it, keep refilling it? And I think that's a through line we can take into anything.
Anything.
Cleaning products, travel products, really anything that if we can get rid of one and done and turn it into just refill, reuse, reduce, reuse, recycle. Yeah. That's the goal, right?
Yes. Well, those have expanded now.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my gosh, what are they? Reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, rot. I'm missing one. There's 6, but rot means compost.
Compost, okay.
Yeah. The other thing, getting back to skincare, is that with ingredients, because you've been asking about that, there's a dirty dozen list of the ingredients that you should avoid. There's 12 ingredients, and we can link it. We can link it for your community if you'd like.
Please, yeah.
And so, just keep this list on hand while you're shopping for your cosmetics, hair care, skincare. But one of the biggest ones that we should really look out for, especially in the States, is fragrance. Is it fragrance or fragrance? I always say that word wrong.
I say fragrance.
I know, fragrance? Okay, I don't know. I'm from the Midwest.
I couldn't get away saying fragrance.
Fragrance. Okay, so it's fragrance. So in the States, fragrance is an umbrella term. Manufacturers can put anything in a fragrance they want without listing it on the label.
Really?
Yes. It could be tar for all we know.
Oh my God.
So fragrance. So if anything, go for unscented. Don't buy anything that has fragrance in it. Or if it's listed like a naturally, well, I guess not natural. I'm like correcting myself now. Maybe like essential oil fragrance. You could do that. But I always unscented everything.
I've always been a big believer of that.
Yes.
Years ago, somehow, some way, it got ingrained in me that clean doesn't have a smell. And I think that is one of the biggest falsehoods when it comes to, especially the quote natural cleaning world.
Yeah.
Is it's lemon scented, lavender scented,
Yes.
these all natural fragrances. When you think about it, if something's clean and pristine, it doesn't smell like lemon. It doesn't.
No.
We've gotten so ingrained and greenwashed, like you were saying earlier, to think that if something is clean, if something is natural, if something is whatever, then it has to smell or look like this. But in its natural state, it should just be.
Yes.
There is no fragrance.
100%.
So I hate like scented laundry detergents and cleaning products, and it's just so overwhelming. Talk about another endocrine disruptor.
Totally. Yeah. Oh, I love that you know these.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of endocrine disruptors, you absorb 60% of what you put onto your skin. Within 30 seconds, it goes directly into your bloodstream. So that is why it's very important to go out with unscented, ban the toxic 12 from your ingredients list. The EU has banned 1,600 chemicals from their cosmetics industry.
God bless Europe. Seriously.
I know. Right. I know. In so many ways.
The measurements they're taking to just really protect people. I mean, and it makes the most sense.
Makes the most sense. And here we have 9 banned. 9. So speaking of self-advocacy, this is why it's so important to advocate for yourself and just check the ingredients labels. Yeah. It's
Speaking
wild.
of what we're putting onto our skin, one other area I definitely want to cover before we kind of get towards the end is this term fast fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Clothing products, and honestly, a lot of the stuff that I've even found myself like that's in my wardrobe, I'm like, damn, really? Come on. Even things like Lululemon and a lot of other, especially athleisure brands. This fast fashion term, can you define it for us? And, in terms of sustainability, what's going on there?
Fast fashion literally means disposable, in my opinion. It's this, especially in America, we're bred to consume. We are. We're bred to like buy into a trend and then pitch it, toss it away, right? So that's what fast fashion is. So right now we waste, I might have to look up this stat.
We can fact check. It's fine. Absolutely.
Hold on. I have it right here.
I'm sure it's alarming.
I have so many stats in my head that I have trouble.
Do you have shortcuts
keeping
on your
them
phone? I'm
all.
sure just
I
like
do.
1, 2 is fast fashion shortcut.
Yes. Okay, so fast fashion, the fashion industry wastes 92 million tons of textiles each year.
Wow.
So 60% of those textiles go to landfill within 12 months of manufacture.
Jesus.
And that means that it's fast fashion. People are buying these trends and throwing them away.
It's also because a lot of this stuff is very affordable, right? We're able to get new clothes much more quickly at discounted rates. And so here today, gone tomorrow, I want the next thing.
And what we are really trying to do within the sustainability industry is shift mindset to its quality over quantity. You save money in the long run anyways. And your clothes last a lot longer. You're able to repair them instead of throwing them away. Another thing, you can look for certified B corporations.
I've heard of this. Yeah, what is
big in
that?
the fashion industry, big in the food industry. They are super strict with their standards for companies, and companies have to purchase the certification. So it takes a lot on the manufacturer end to be certified B.
Okay.
So when you see that, like it's all good.
Certified B, good to know.
Certified B.
Okay.
Another thing you can do when it comes to fashion is simply buy natural. Your natural fibers are things that come from nature, like cotton.
Tar.
Yes, tar. Just lather yourself in that. I just got the vision of Home Alone when he's like tarred with the feathers. Yeah, the robber. So just buy natural fabrics, and big box stores have those too. Like Walmart will sell 100% natural socks, underwear, all of that, t-shirts. And that's like hemp, silk, wool, flax, all of those. Your synthetic fibers are made of plastic. So do you know this?
Familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically the difference between like a piece of plastic packaging and a piece of clothing that's synthetic, which is like your nylon, spandex, any of those, polyester.
Polyester, yeah.
Yeah. So the fibers.
I have a brother in the apparel industry, so.
Oh, you do?
all that
Okay,
stuff,
perfect. Yeah. So fact check me, please.
Yeah.
So the fibers for synthetic textiles are spun into long threads, basically, where with packaging, they're broken down into pellets, then melted and put in a mold for packaging. That's like pretty much the only difference. So when we send our synthetic textile clothing to landfill, they also don't biodegrade because they're made of plastic. Our skin can't breathe. If you ever wear like leggings for too long and get a rash on your legs, that happens to me. It's because your skin can't breathe in the plastic textile. Yeah.
I do see a lot of cool companies. I think Patagonia was the first one years ago, taking recycled plastic and turning it into this pseudo like fleece kind of thing. Was like plastic fleece.
Yep.
I mean, Patagonia's what they do for sustainability is incredible. I mean, literally just gave away $1 billion plus company back to the earth. It was incredible.
So amazing. Yeah.
Well, before we get to my final question, I want to ask you, I know we've talked about a lot, and in my opinion, there have been a lot, but there have been a lot of very actionable steps thus far. When we're talking about our world, the world, what we're putting in our body, on our body, one thing right here, right now, if nothing else, if you could pass to the listener, I want to become more sustainable today. What can I do?
Sort a plan for your food scraps.
Composting. Is that what you're talking about? Or
You don't even have to compost.
No, okay.
You can drop off your food scraps to farmers markets. There's some great resources, they're global, called makesoil.org and Share Waste.
Okay, I'll link that for everybody.
Yes. So these two websites will, depending on your zip code, it'll conjugate a list of places near you who are maybe farmers who are already composting, or they have chickens or pigs who would love your food scraps, which is a great way to participate in your community. Yeah. There's also electric countertop options, like Mill is a new one. It's so cool.
Yeah, I was thinking
Mill?
you put it
I wanna
on.
try it so
Yeah, it's incredible. I couldn't remember the brand, but yeah, it's on your counter. You scrape your food in, and then what a matter of
so that's Lomi.
Okay, excuse
Lomi.
me. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Lomi's it's a little expensive. So there are more budget-friendly alternatives, like Vitamix makes one. So exactly what you said. You're putting your food scraps in all day long. At night, you turn it on. In the morning, you are left with this amazing soil that you need for like indoor plants, outdoor plants. Yeah. Mill is super cool. It's a membership. It's $33 a month. And it looks like a garbage can, and you're putting your food scraps in all day long. At night, it automatically turns your food scraps into food grounds, they call it. And the food grounds you send back to Mill for free, and that's converted into chicken feed, which is full circle, because then humans are ingesting the chicken eggs and the chickens themselves. So it's really cool.
All right, hold up. I'm having a little inception moment. What if some of these scraps are chicken? What if it's like chicken scraps we put in there? Then the chickens eat the chickens. Is that cannibalism?
Yeah, they do that.
Let's do it.
I had chickens growing up. Yeah, they do that.
All right, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole,
but when it comes to your food scraps and composting, though, it really depends on what you are comfortable putting into your compost bin.
Okay.
Like if you're not a meat eater, you're not putting in meat. If you have a worm bin,
right.
worms don't like meat anyways.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So sort of plan for your food scraps. Keep your food scraps in your refrigerator or your freezer while you're collecting them, so it doesn't smell. There's no fruit flies. I think that's what people get hung up on. So that doesn't happen when you have them in your fridge. And then either drop them off or compost them.
For me, what I love most about our conversation today, if I had to think about just one practical, tactical thing, is the question, do I need this?
Do I need this?
In terms of sustainability, but I think that's a very powerful question when we're about to make a choice with anything.
Yes.
Sustainability, wellness, nutrition, our jobs, our relationship, our mental health. That's a really powerful question that I'm taking with me.
Even relationships, right? Do I really need this?
Do I need to pick this fight?
Yes.
Do I need to point out this? Do I need to blah, blah, blah?
Yes.
Or the other way, do I need to give a compliment right now? Do I need to be more mindful of the other person? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to point out quickly is that a new stat, and the only reason I use stats is because I think it resonates with
important.
people, so you can visualize.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to overwhelm anybody.
No.
I
love fun facts too.
Okay, yeah. We'll shift from stats to fun facts. So a new fun fact that has just hit the scene by a company called Drawdown Labs, and I'm so excited for this stat. I've been waiting for this fun fact for like years.
Okay.
Because I've never really been able to put a number on what I do. So they just researched and did everything. So the fun fact is that when it comes to making an impact on climate, 70% of the impact is on businesses, governments, and agencies. The rest of the 30% can be impacted by us and our individual actions.
So basically, through all the things we've been discussing today, we can make up a fair percentage of global climate change.
Collectively, we have an opportunity to impact positively by 30%. Isn't that amazing?
On a global scale, that's fantastic. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we really do have such an opportunity to make a huge difference.
Making a difference is absolutely a part of what I mean when I say living a life ever forward. And this has been such a unique and fresh perspective of that. So thank you again.
Thank you.
But I always ask my guests, when you hear those two words, how would you interpret that? Even if I were to ask you, how do you live a life ever forward? How would you define that?
Ever forward to me means refine, but don't define.
Ooh.
So as we're moving ever forward in our lives, whether that's in business and relationship and environmentalism, we're constantly refining. And that's the beauty of life. We're refining what's a no, what's a yes. And by the way, a no is a yes for something else. So we're refining. At the same time, don't define. You don't want to be defined and labeled and put in a box. Then we're stuck. So ever forward to me is a process of refining yet not defining.
Just kind of mulling that over. I really like it. I get so many great, unique perspectives when I ask that question. It's That's really powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Well, where can everybody go to connect with you more, learn about what you got going on in the world, sustainability, maybe even to get on board with something?
Yeah, I actually just launched a series called the EcoBabe 101 series. It's on my Instagram at the EcoBabe. And this is your key to sustainable living. We have so many questions about sustainable living, whether that's like, what can I recycle? How do I recycle? What can I
Where do I
purchase
start?
for exactly? How do I stay? All of these questions are answered in my EcoBabe 101 series. So that's on my
Perfect.
Instagram.
Okay.
And then I also have a website at ecobabe.co.
Too easy. Okay. Again, that will be linked for everybody down in the show notes. This was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I learned so much today. Also, another part I love about doing this show is a lot of times things are reminders of just like core concepts to make my life, to make my world and the world better that I need to go back to. Like, it's good to go back to basics sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's essentially sustainability, back to basics.
All right, there we go. I'm on it. I'm on it.
You're already doing it.
Thank you.